Growing up with very little money, I had a really weird relationship with it. And so when I needed to learn more about it,
Mm,
there was this hesitation. Am I going to become an evil person if I
yeah.
make good money? And, and it's crazy, but you're taught it, so it sticks in your brain. It's hard to change that thinking. And so now that I feel like, okay, this is not an embarrassing thing to talk about because
Yeah.
people need to hear it.
Hey guys, welcome to episode number 230 of the Game On Girlfriend podcast. Today, we are going deep into your relationship to money. Yes, your relationship to money, where I'm bringing you Ashley Chamberlain, who is a extraordinary bookkeeper. Now, sometimes when I say bookkeeper as a business owner, people are like, oh my gosh, you're talking about the crunchy numbers. You're talking about the stuff I have to worry about that, like, maybe I can sort of see how many taxes I owe, like that sort of an energy. And what I love about this interview with Ashley is how much she talks about the confidence, the energy, and the mindset someone needs to have around money in order to actually work well with a bookkeeper. And the other thing I love about her story is that she created her business after escaping a situation of domestic violence. And as she was exploring what to do next, she didn't have anybody to call about numbers. So, like most killer entrepreneurs, people who make these gorgeous, heart centered, service based businesses, she created a business to do exactly what she needed in her moment. Ashley Chamberlain founded Chamberlain and Good Company, a force for good, championing financial empowerment for small and mid-sized service companies with bookkeeping and fractional CFO services. Armed with a master's in business administration and an unwavering passion for empowering others, this boy mama of two embarked on her entrepreneurial odyssey to support her family. Her mission is twofold: to provide top notch bookkeeping services and to be a beacon of hope for those looking to take control of their financial destinies. She has now spent over 3,000 hours helping over 300 single mothers get back on their feet financially. Ashley's mantra, let us mind your books so you can mind your business, embodies her dedication to simplifying financial management for entrepreneurs, and she doesn't stop at numbers. Ashley's personal journey fuels her commitment to helping others break free from financial complacency and codependency. I think you're really going to love this interview. If you've ever hit a plateau in your business, if you've ever had that moment when you're like, what is happening? I'm not attracting the right people into the business. I don't know what's off here, but where I want to be and where I am, there's a financial gap. If you've had that experience, this is the episode for you. So pop in those earphones and let's get to it. Ashley, welcome to the Game On Girlfriend podcast. I'm so excited to talk about bookkeeping.
Yay! This is obviously my favorite language to speak, so I'm here for it.
I love it. I love it. All right. So I know you have quite a story, you have quite a history, you have a huge why running your business and all the things that matter the most to you. But I have to ask, because all the girlfriends are going to want to know, out of all the things that you could have done on the planet Earth, all of the skills and talents and expertise and experiences that you have, why is this what you do?
I love that question because the easy answer would be I'm just good at math. So it seemed obvious that I would do something in accounting. However, starting a business and doing what I do is because I'm trying to do what I needed at
Mm,
a time in my life when I didn't know anyone else that did. So it feels logical to say I want to be something for someone at a time they need it most.
I love that. Because don't you, I mean, I'm sorry, I just sort of got mesmerized for a second because I feel like always teach that which we want to receive the most. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like, I
yeah,
mean, here I am a coach. I'm always like, right, it's because nobody supported
yeah,
my mom or taught me how to do it. Right. And
right.
I think when we can create something that shows up for other people when we wish someone had shown up for us,
Yep,
it just makes it
that's what it
really
is.
powerful.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think there are enough resources in the world because we're failed in high school. So in high school, we don't learn, how to keep a bank account, how to write checks. We don't learn what is credit? What is that? What is this magical number that means so much? when you're young, you don't think about it, but then when it matters, you think, "Oh, well, now I have to play damage control." You aren't taught those things
Mm,
until you're reacting. And so when I was in that place needing the help, the resources, I did a lot of Googling. I did a lot of, can I please just have 15 minutes of your time, to the professionals? And it
sure.
was really hard to get that information. So I
Mm.
hope one person feels a little bit of ease if they ever reach out to me for any questions, because that is what I'm here for.
Oh, I love you guys heard that, right? Like that was awesome. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
thank you.
reminding me, my as we're recording this, my high school daughter is in her midterms, right? And she's just like cramming stuff into her sweet little brain.
Mhm,
And I
mhm.
was laughing because on Instagram the other day, I saw a meme where it was something like, Mom says, "Wait a minute, you don't know how to do your taxes? They didn't teach you this in school." And the kid says, "Listen, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell." And I fell off my chair because I was like, yeah, I still remember
That's
that
it.
too. Like
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
we learned it's super cool. I love that I know my
Right,
biology, but it would have been
right.
really great to have an expert come in and say, "Hey, by the
Mhm.
way, money's this thing you're going to have to touch every single day of your life for the
Yep.
rest of your life." Like it's this
Right.
thing, right?
This
And we don't
big
talk about
thing.
it.
No, and
Yeah.
it's, I think there's a time and a place for the mitochondria. I think there's a time and place for, geometry and algebra, but those are so specific
Mm,
to certain fields. Taxes,
they're
everyone
not.
has to have a run-in with taxes. It does not matter if you're a W-2, if you're a 1099, if you're an LLC, everyone has to deal with taxes. And
Yeah.
even the professionals will say, "You're gonna owe taxes, but I can't tell you how much right now." Like,
Right.
it is such a
The end. You're
formula.
welcome. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That is all. And here's my bill. It's such a game, and you can learn bits and pieces to make it just a little easier without feeling the overwhelm of, do I need to be a CPA to understand taxes?
Mm.
No, there are tips and tricks and things that you can do to help yourself. So that's what I hope people just come to my page, come to me and say, I just have one question. Let's hear it. Let's work it out. Let's work through it. So that's my hopes.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Mhm.
I think there is, I always joke around like as entrepreneurs, we need our playmates in the sandbox, right? I mean, that's why
Mhm.
I've created my coaching programs the way I have is so you don't feel so alone. But I
Yeah.
think when it comes to money specifically, right, or taxes or keeping track of your business on the monthly, the weekly, the daily, all those things,
Yeah.
it's just I think people feel like it's either super scary or unsexy. Would
Oh,
you agree with that? Is it
oh
like the
yes.
fuzziness? The fuzziness
Oh
keeps it
man.
safe. It's like, if I don't know, I can't freak out.
Right.
Is that true?
Yes. Deniability definitely makes it a little easier, if you will, because you think, I'm not going to worry about it because when it's a problem, then I'll deal with it.
Right.
But the unsexy part, I get this question so much because my VA helps me with, she does all of my content. She puts all of it out there, but we create it together because she has no accounting knowledge. So we're creating this content together. And she makes the comment all the time like, is this fun for you to talk about?
Mm,
Because this seems very black and white. I'm like, you know what? We can talk about the unsexy stuff because you can go anywhere else on the internet and find the sexy stuff. We're going to talk about the stuff that matters and get through it. And it doesn't have to feel good, but we'll find something that clicks for someone that isn't an accounting brain. Some kind of way. We'll break it down on an elementary level and we can just be, you know what? This is not our sexy time. This is our getting shit done time. So
it's like
that's
everything
how
we've
we're going to
taught
move
been taught
forward.
we've all been taught not to do that. You're supposed to find your sexy time as far as I
Right.
understand it. But no, it is
Right.
true. I think I don't know if you know this, Ashley, but one of my absolute favorite books of all time is The Slight Edge. It's so good. If you haven't
Oh,
read it, go grab it. I try to
have
read
it
it like
right
once
over
every
there in my
6 months.
bookshelf.
Yeah, girl, you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
Of course you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm. Yep, I got you.
The unsexy tasks, man.
Yeah.
That is where all the magic is. It's the stuff
Yep.
nobody else sees you do. It
Right.
can make all the difference. Do you find for your clients that when they get unfuzzy, right, as much as it's unsexy, like, wait,
Yeah.
what did you spend those $3 on for your bit? Like, it's like not sexy, but I
Yeah.
got it. Okay.
Right.
But do you find at the end of the conversation they feel better?
I would say 90% of the time, people just need to talk something out. And
Mm,
even if they already have the answer, it can be a, hey, back and forth email. And sometimes email is hard to explain things. It's hard to get a clear picture of what they need. I say, hey, let's jump on a call. Like it can be 10 minutes. I'm going to be in the car right line, which is probably going to be about 30 minutes. Let's jump on a call.
Yeah.
We get on the call together. They're talking things out. By the end of the conversation, almost every time they say, I think I actually knew the answer. I just needed to talk it out with you. And I
Mhm.
can feel a weight just lifted that they have a partner in business. Not that's my accountant that I sometimes talk to. Like, no, you have a partner. We know each other. I know, okay, I'm in Eastern, but you're in Central. I'm going in the car rider line. You have an hour because your kids don't get out. Like, we know things about each other. And that's what's special about that relationship. It doesn't have to be, here's my suit. Yeah, I don't really wear suits. I wear hoodies because I
Because you
work,
can.
at home and I can. But, it doesn't have to be this really stiff relationship.
Yeah.
Have a good accountant that you can talk these things through because sometimes you know the answer. You just need to be guided to it. And
Mm.
that's super empowering to feel like you knew more than you thought you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is a lot of that. I think, especially for women, we know, but we've been taught our whole lives to wait till someone else tells us it's okay
Yep.
or to
Yep.
validate it externally. And I think
Right.
knowing that's really important because it can help us
Yeah.
sort of heal that faster. So we do listen to our intuition
Yep.
and act. But in the
Right.
meantime, having other humans next to us who are like, yeah, that's right. You got
Yep.
it. Yep. Confirmed. Right.
Right.
It's so
Right.
helpful because it also validates our intuition. Like, oh, I did know that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
important.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a fun relationship for me because all of my clients are a little different. I've got the construction guy that's going to call me on the way to a job. He's never going to turn his receipts in. He's going to hand them to me face to face. But then I have the mom that has the Etsy shop that's, monogramming clothes. She's really unsure of herself. Totally different vibe than the construction guy, but they want to talk it through.
Mm,
By the end, I'm saying almost the same thing to both of these people. I'm saying, you got this. You don't need me. You already knew what you wanted to do, so you talked it out. You're okay. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. Click.
love
Same
it.
same conversation, different vibes. And I just love that about my clients because I don't want them to feel like they depend on me for everything, but I want
Mm,
them to feel like they have a partner in it, because that's what I wanted. I wanted to feel like, man, I just ask them all these questions all the time and I don't know it for myself. I want someone I can bounce ideas off of and feel comfortable and then walk away feeling confident. I
yeah.
hope that's what they feel every time they get on the phone with me.
I love that. And well, it's so
Mhm.
crystal clear. I mean, how your why dives down there, right? It's just really crystal clear because you didn't have that.
Mhm. Right,
And so you know the
right,
value of creating that for a fellow human is so
right,
high. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It is. And it's such a necessary part of business,
Mm,
of life. And it feels like, how do we not get taught these things? And how can I put that more information out there? Which is a
mm.
big reason I don't just talk about business taxes. I talk about personal. Like, what are you doing personally? Do you want to save money or are we trying to live our best life? We can do both, but let's find a happy medium. And I get it. My husband all the time, my husband's a musician. And so his brain works very differently than mine. And so all day I am in this masculine energy where I am doing the things and I'm getting the work done and checking the boxes,
Mhm.
right? I'm making the decisions, I'm delegating, I'm doing this. And so when he gets home, I can just feel this big shift like, oh, I can be in my feminine now because you're here and you can make the decisions. So I hope I
Wow.
can give that kind of comfort to my clients, man or woman,
Yeah.
and say, sometimes you just got to do the things. I'm here for that. But then let's live in this like wildflower fun land, this feminine energy at the end of the day, because we did a good job. We got done what we needed to get done. So I
Yeah.
hope they feel that, even the men.
Yeah, of course. Well, we need
So,
both all the time, right? Like
yep.
it's a
Mm-hmm.
constant balance between those two being able to
Mm-hmm.
push out and being able to allow in.
Right.
Those are the energy sources. Like, that's the way
Yeah.
energy moves. We need
That's
both,
it.
regardless of our gender. We need both
Right.
of those energies. That's so good. So say a little bit more. I know you talk also about like the power of delegating certain things and how we can do that as business owners. Can you speak about that a little bit? I'd love to know how you feel about that.
Yeah. I love talking about this because, again, going back to it was something I needed to learn a long time ago. As a young single mom for a long time, I did all of the things. At first, out of necessity. And then it became out of obligation because I wanted to be a hero. I
Yeah.
wanted to be a martyr. I wanted to be able to say, well, I do all of these things myself and no one helps me. Then I quickly learned that is the worst thing you can do for yourself because you get burned out. You're not being able to parent how you want. You're not being able to run a business how you want. So quickly, I say quickly, I'll say 10 years later, here I am. I am outsourcing, delegating everything I can.
Mm.
And it starts with my business. I have a group of women who are just rock star employees, delegating like crazy. Then it trickles down all the way to my personal life. So I have people that come and clean my house. Now they're clients, which,
That's
obviously is a
awesome.
mutual, a
That's so
mutually
great.
good relationship. But I have people that come in, they come every other week. They know myself and my dogs really well. I used to feel guilty, but they walk in, oh, hey, they have little dog treats for the dogs. And it's a
Oh,
mutually beneficial
right.
relationship. They're
Yeah.
working a job and I'm getting something done while I'm working. I'm outsourcing my groceries. People don't think about that like an
Mm.
outsourcing thing, but I used to spend, gosh, 2 to 3 hours every. I would do it on Saturday mornings. I would go to the grocery store, and I have a circus in my house. I mean, no shame. I have multiple kids. I've got animals. I have a husband. There's so many things going on here. So 2 to 3 hours in this grocery store every single weekend. So
Mm.
much time, so much energy. I felt like I was a slave to the
Yeah.
grocery store
Yes.
and not having that. It's terrible. Sometimes I looked forward to it because it was by myself and I could put music. I would say out of 10 times going, I enjoyed myself half the time.
Okay.
It was not worth it to me. So now I just click list. I do the order in the morning in my pajamas, send it off. They bring it right to my door. I
Mhm.
outsourced that task and I got 3 hours back every single weekend. So it
Got it.
feels very worth it to me. It's just a little
Yeah.
thing you can do to get some of that time back. And that doesn't mean you have to use that time to work. It's not like I said, oh, I got 3 hours back. So now I'm going to go do a tax return. I got 3 hours back. So now I can go binge The Crown. Like now I can watch the show I want to watch and not feel guilty about it because I got
Mm.
something else done. So
Yeah.
it's finding those areas that you can let go of. And sometimes that's easier said than done, but it is there for everyone.
I love it. It's almost like it sounds like I always talk about how people have time and money confused. It's one of my favorite paradigms is like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, tons of time. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm like, no,
No.
actually, time is the only resource we can't
Right.
replenish. It's the only one. Money, you
Right.
can always generate money. Just go solve a problem. Doesn't matter what the problem
Yeah.
is. If you solve it, people will pay you for it. Right. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
case in point, I don't want to go grocery shopping. Oh, here, we'll solve that problem for you. Just pay us for it. Right. And you're like, great, happy to.
Love it.
That's how this works. Right. But I think
Yep.
when we can use the money in a way to buy time, I think that's
Yeah.
one of the smartest trades we can make because one is a
Yeah.
replenishable resource, even though we feel like it's
Right.
not money, right? It's like infinite money. It never stops
Yeah.
circulating ever,
Right.
but time ends,
Yep.
right?
That's right.
And we never know
It's
when.
precious. Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's like if we can use
Yeah.
one to buy the other, oh, let's. Oh,
Yeah.
let's. Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Why are we so hesitant to let someone else do something that they could probably do just a little better, believe it or not, and then
Yeah.
you get that time back. And
Mhm.
I know people say, well, do you spend that time with your kids? You get 3 hours back. So now you can spend more. No, my kids don't want to spend time with me on a Saturday morning. They just don't. I have a 17-year-old. She's our foreign exchange student this year. She wants to stay in her room and probably TikTok for 3 hours. I get, I'm like, okay, girl, I've got a 12-year-old. He wants to sleep in until 1. Then the 6-year-old, he wants to run around with probably just his underwear on. He does not want to spend time with mom because I got 3 hours back.
My
But
God, do
to
we have the
me,
same kids? Yes. No, I'm
it,
kidding.
it's a
Yeah,
circus.
it's very similar. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I like what you're
Yeah.
saying. What you're saying is don't default to how that
Mhm.
time should be
Right.
spent.
And feel
Yeah, that's
guilty
what I'm hearing.
because,
Yeah.
well, I did get it back, so I need to go be productive. Productivity can look different for everybody.
Yes.
It can be going and finishing work if you want, but for me, the setup of my business is we work Monday through Thursday. We don't work Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
Mm,
Now, during tax season, I'm a wild one, so it makes me feel like, let me just get in
Let
here,
me just
but
get this done real quick.
let me
Yeah.
just see this, But for my team, they know Monday through Thursday, show up when you can because it's different for all of them. They're all moms. Some of them are day workers, some of them are in the evening. And
Mhm.
we just show up, get it done, and then do what you want for the rest of the time.
I
No
love
guilt,
that.
no obligation. However, you want to show up is the best for the business.
I think that's so important, honestly, because, we have been taught, again, like we're taught one, we don't know anything, right? So you got to
Hmm.
get it validated. But I think the
Yeah,
other thing is that our value is tied directly to our level of productivity. It's like, how much can you run yourself ragged? And then we'll tell you
right.
good job, right? As opposed to
Yeah,
actually, could you be healthy and strong
right.
and enjoy the crown? Yay.
Mhm.
Right? Like
Love.
enjoy that. Maybe, if you love to bake or you
Hmm.
have a hobby, you love to hike, you love to
Yeah,
run or whatever it is for you, that's also being a responsible, productive adult.
it
And then we
is.
get to choose
It
that
is.
time. I really, really appreciate what you're saying about that. I think that's a
Mhm.
message we all need to hear is like, listen, if you're
Yeah,
learning how to buy time, you then get to choose how to use it. There's not one way. There's not one right
right.
way, right? To go
Right.
through with this. It's so good.
Absolutely. And I
So
used
good.
to think, in the very beginning of business, I was also working a corporate job. And so I was working full time at a corporate job as an
Mm,
accountant. And then I started a business at the same time. And so self care was a really tricky thing for me
mm,
because I felt guilty that I'm taking so much time away from my family because I am working crazy hours. And I didn't stop to think that, wait a minute, self care is taking care of yourself. And if I'm not taking care of myself, then everything else isn't going to be working properly. So that was a tough lesson because I felt like I should just be so grateful because I have such a good husband and I have healthy kids and I make good money. So I should
mhm.
be grateful and not be complaining that I don't get to go get my nails done. But what I realized was getting my nails done isn't just about getting my nails done.
Preach
It's
on it.
so much bigger.
Preach on it. Yes. It's
Yes.
not, there's so much more involved in that. I mean, because
Mhm.
honestly, actually, when I'm working with women, like I said, like a lot of it comes in when we're dealing with money, right? There's like
Yeah,
understanding where the money is. It's so important we're not
right.
fuzzy, right? That we understand where the dollars are going. It's just like,
Mhm.
it's just paper. It's okay. We'll figure it out where it is, but you got to get it on
Yeah.
paper so you know. But then it's almost like there's this worthiness block. I
Mhm.
don't deserve to make this much money. It's not okay to make this much, like those kinds of
Right.
beliefs that, for some reason I have this expertise, I can pull in and uproot that with people, right? And they're like, oh, I just
Yeah.
started making money. Oh, amazing, right? But
Yeah.
part of like learning that you deserve money, learning that you deserve to be happy, learning that you deserve to
Mhm.
feel abundant in your life, like getting your nails done,
Right.
helps heal the rest of that so that as you look
Right.
at the bookkeeping the next month, you're like, "Oh,
Yes.
I feel really good," and
Oh,
you get your nails done again. Right, and then when you're
right.
actually in your business serving, you're serving with this energy of value and excitement and joy instead of
Right.
constriction and worry and desperation and, "Please buy my stuff."
Right.
That can come. So I think
Totally
what you're saying is
different.
so important.
Yeah. Yeah. And I felt the same way. So money and worthiness was deeply rooted and tied together. Growing up very poor, I always felt like, well, if people have I was taught, didn't realize this is what I was taught. If you have a lot of money, you aren't supposed to talk about it. So in my mind, there was this window that came down. Someone that has a lot of money, I have no idea how they made it or how much they actually make because we're not supposed to talk about it. Or people that have more money are evil.
Mhm.
Or money can turn people into evil people.
Yep.
Like, So all these things are taught. I also heard that's too expensive or we can't afford that.
Yeah.
Growing up with very little money, I had a really weird relationship with it. And so when I needed to learn more about it,
Mm.
there was this hesitation. Am I going to become an evil person if I
Yeah.
make good money? And it's crazy, but you're taught it, so it sticks in your brain. It's hard to change that thinking. And so now that I feel like, okay, this is not an embarrassing thing to talk about because
Yeah.
people need to hear it. People need to hear it's okay to make good money. It's okay to talk about making good money. There is a way to portray that you make good money and not feel icky about it. Talking to clients, especially women clients, saying, I understand you have a really tough decision of where to send your kids to school. You feel bad that if you send your kids to a private school that you're being too braggy. Let me tell you, I chose a private school for my kids, not because of the money, but because of the security it gave me. And telling that woman that, I could just see it in her eyes. It was like I gave her permission to do
Mhm.
something that felt good, but she didn't want to brag. She didn't want
Yeah.
to feel icky. So when I
Yeah.
said, I'm doing it too, sister, she's like, okay, well, if you're doing it, then I guess I can do it too.
Oh,
So it's
that's
like, I'm
gorgeous.
here. Yeah, let's talk
Yes.
about
I
it.
I
What does
mean,
it mean for you?
I love that actually because it is, we're hearing so much in society, right, about representation. How important it is to see
Yeah,
someone who looks like you, who feels like you, who acts like you, doing certain
right,
things. It's so important
right.
for us to see that. And I mean,
Hmm.
we've seen that all throughout human history. It's sort of been proven, right? Like
Yeah.
humans can't run less than a 4-minute mile. It's not possible, right? Until one person did it. And the next
Hmm.
year, hundreds of people could do it. We have to
Mm,
be able to see what's possible. And there are the few people
love
among us,
that.
God love them, who are the first people to break through and cause
Yeah,
something to happen that hadn't happened before. But once
right,
we can see it, we all know, wait a minute, then it's possible. And
right,
uprooting these beliefs. And I
right.
just have to share one of my favorite beliefs, Ashley, was as you were talking about these beliefs around money, I call them the unspoken family rules.
Hmm.
It's not always said. Sometimes it is, right? Like that's too expensive.
Right.
Who do you think I
Yeah.
am? Rockefeller, like all the things, right? But I actually have a new philosophy about money, not that new. I've had it for years and years, but is for so many a new perspective. I'll say it that way, is that money's actually a magnifying glass. And so if you're a jackwagon, as I say with love, you can
Yeah.
be a bigger jackwagon. And we know a
Yeah.
lot of people who are doing that. Yeah. So like they make a lot of money and you're like, oh dear God, no, they'll please
Mm,
don't have any more money. Right. Like,
right.
please not put any
Right.
more money in those hands, people. Hello.
Right.
Right. And then there are people, it's like, please give them more. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that's like, there's so
Yes.
many examples of that as well. Of like, no, that's a good
Right.
steward of money. And it's because it's
Hmm.
just magnifying who that person is. Because if you're giving and
Right.
loving and you're aware of what's going on around you that money could affect, you're going to direct it there.
Yeah.
And that
I
matters,
love
right?
that.
And that matters for us to sort of
Hmm.
uproot that belief, get it
Yes.
out of our way, and actually live in the world of, I trust me to manage a boatload of money. Like I
Right.
will take such good care of that money and make sure that where it goes is exquisite and actually has an effect. Oh, well, then
Mm,
you just open the gate to make as much as you want because you
I love
trust
that.
yourself to do good things with it. Yeah.
I love that. It's that law of attraction, right? It's I listen to so many different inspirational people and they say if you start thinking like the person you want to become, you're going to become that. And I like that idea because sometimes you don't feel like $1,000,000.
Right.
Sometimes you feel you have those, I call them the dark days, is what I always say to husband. If he's like, "How's it going?" I'm like, "Man, it's kind of a dark day right now." We talk it through, and sometimes it's hard to act like that person
Mm,
and feel like that worthiness. Am I worthy of making more money? And I
mhm,
always have to go back to, 15 years ago, Ashley, and think, was she worthy of money? Because if she was, she's still the same person and getting better. So that helps me bring things into perspective. When I was
cool.
a young mom feeling like, man, are we having beans and rice again? Here we go. It's magical beans and rice. Like it's all about perspective. Making $12 an hour then felt like making $100 an hour now
Mm,
because it was everything I needed at the time I needed it. It's all about mindset. And making that first big jump to $20 an hour, I'll never forget the first like big corporate job I had. I thought, okay, well, I am Beyonce. First step $20 an hour, like
yeah.
next step Ferrari.
Yeah.
And so it's all about mindset and attracting those things that you want to come in. And it's the same with clients.
Mm,
When I feel like I have enough, I am doing well with money. I am touching a lot of people suddenly. All of like the perfect ideal clients start reaching out.
yeah.
Thought, oh, maybe there is something to this. The attracting aspect of it, anyways.
Mhm. Well, there is. I mean, because I think we have, I talk about this a lot. I love to study psychology. Disclaimer, not a psychologist, right? But I love to study it
Mhm.
and really understanding our collective unconscious and
Mhm.
how much we read about each other and we're not even aware. Like, it's not like
Yeah.
you sit down and go, well, I know all of Ashley's internal thoughts now. Like, it's not
Right.
like that, right? That's not how it works.
Yeah.
But we
Yep.
know when we're around someone who doesn't believe in what they're doing. We know, in two
Yep.
seconds, right? And, anybody who's
100%.
still got a corporate job and you guys are in there and you're like, oh my God, when you're in a meeting who like does not give any asses, right? Like what is
Yes.
happening? Like, oh
Yes.
my God, you know who that person is. And then you also know the
Mhm.
person when everybody makes fun of, right? Who like believes
Yeah.
in everything the companies do, right? So that's
Yeah.
in the corporate world. And when you pull that into entrepreneurship, if
Right.
you believe you are not worthy of making a lot of money helping people, you won't make it. If you don't believe in
Right.
the way that you are creating your services, you're not going to sell them. And that sounds
Yeah.
magical, but we've had the experience. Like, haven't
Yep.
you ever had that? You're like, it could be, pick a thing. My dryer just broke, right? So I'm looking at dryers and I'm talking to the
Yeah.
sales guys. And there's the guy who's like, yeah, I'll be there, fine, and then there's the guy's like, hey,
Mhm.
I'm like, you sell me
Right.
things, right?
I
It's
like
like,
you.
you just know.
Yeah. You
So
do. Yeah.
I think that's really what you're pointing to is
Yeah.
looking at that. And it's hard to do all of that work and dealing with your own worth and
Mhm.
attracting the right people and getting super pumped about
Right.
how you're solving the world's problems in your own little corner of the world.
Yep.
Very hard to do that unless you have great bookkeeping. And I know that sounds funny, but I
Yes.
really believe that, Ashley.
It
That was
is.
not a
It's
plug,
so true.
but it's true.
There
It
it
is
is.
like,
Well, it
how do
is
you
so
know if you don't
true.
know your numbers? Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And I find that especially through the past year, the seasonality of business. And every time I feel something about taxes, something about money, something about my own bookkeeping, my husband's always, because he's the creative brain. So he's always the one that's like, I bet your clients feel like that too. I'm like, there it is. And it's you want to put yourself on this island sometimes as an entrepreneur, and you think, I'm just dealing with things that no one understands,
Mhm.
and I'm the only one that's ever felt this way, and no one can ever understand me.
So
But
true.
then when you
So true.
yeah, you're like, I'm a hero because I'm going through things no one's ever felt before. But the reality is you're not that special. Like,
Mhm.
you have something that someone needs to know you're going through. And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be sexy, but it should be spoken aloud. Most of my lives are done in my own house, not with a beautiful background, not wearing a suit, because people need to see you can be whatever kind of entrepreneur you need to be when you need to be it. You can still be successful. If you're going through something, someone else is probably going through it too. So that's a bringing it down to reality check.
Here, here. I always say there's 7 billion people on the planet. There's no way your life is so special. No one else has
Right.
gone through it. Like, I mean, I don't mean that to be
Hmm.
mean, but like, come on, man.
But
We're
really,
all in this.
yeah,
We're not that special.
really,
It's
yeah,
so good. So good.
yeah,
And it is true. I think it doesn't, I mean, in these conversations around business, I think the most important thing really is energy. I think you're really
yep,
pointing to something very important there. So good.
yeah.
Oh my God, Ashley, this has just been amazing today. I like, who gets to talk to bookkeepers like this, you guys? Like, oh my gosh, so good. Ashley, I'm so grateful you stopped by and chatted with our girlfriends today. If someone's listening and they're like, that's the bookkeeper for me, please. Thank you so much. How can people get in touch with you and learn more about what you do?
So we show up primarily on Facebook. You can find me, Ashley Chamberlain. We have a business page, Chamberlain and Good Company, and a really fun Facebook group that we try to put some humor with the non-sexy topics of accounting in there. So come on over, look at our memes, our captions, all the things. We have a really pretty website that you can fill out the contact us form, and I'm the one that reads through every single one because I want to hear from people, and I know they want to hear from me directly. But I'm here to chat however you need it and meet you wherever you're at.
I love it. Ashley, thank you so much. You guys, we are going to have those links underneath this video if you're watching on YouTube and in the show notes if you are listening in. Ashley, thank you again so much for such a joyful conversation about money and bookkeeping. Who knew? So good.
Right.
I so
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Well, thank you so much.